Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fray. My name is Derry. The Fray is a roundtable discussion on fighting games and the people who play them. I don't know why anybody would want to, but we do. If you like the music that played at the start of the show, please make sure you follow our friend and longtime I Play Winner Fixture. I play Winner Fixture, a rival at twitter.com/8bitpimp. That's the number 8-bit-pimp. For the guy who composes the music that led into the show tonight. All right. Tonight's panel is an abbreviated panel. We're trying a little bit of format experimentation tonight. We were supposed to have Magus1234, who is my normal co-host, but he's been bodied by traffic. I don't know where he would drive to. He goes no. I don't know what kind of. I actually don't know what kind of life this guy leads outside of our hanging out. Like, I've known the guy for 5 years, and I don't know what he does when I don't see him. So, but he's caught up in traffic. So I have the other two guests we were going to talk to tonight. And these are the guys that screw Magus anyway. He's not that important. These are the important guys. We're going to talk to them tonight about tournaments, about the scene, organization, events, things like that. We're gonna have a smaller panel tonight because we want to focus on the topic. First up, joining actually both these guys are first timers tonight. We have a special guest all the way from the East Coast. They told me I was gonna get debated. I assumed that meant I was gonna get laid. It's twitter.com/CEO Jabali. Alex Jabali is in the building. How you doing?
Good, man. Sorry to disappoint you on the getting laid part.
Oh, well, that never happens anyway, so it's fine.
And also to clarify, Florida is not East Coast. We are Florida.
They've succeeded from the East Coast.
Yeah, we have seceded. Bugs Bunny cut us off a long time ago.
Good stuff. And then from here in our neck of the woods on the West Coast, a handsome man and the brains, I would say it's the brains of the operation here in that house at FGTV House. It's twitter.com/ShadyK. It's Shady K, Long Tran. How you doing?
Yo.
Good. I like that. It's succinct.
I can't work in these conditions, man. No.
It's Shady_K, and I also agree with everything you said about being handsome and the brains behind this house.
Handsome brains behind the house.
Yes.
That's good. All right. We're gonna talk about CEO. We're gonna talk about FGTV House. First question though is gonna go to Alex. And it's about tournament organization in general. Today, Microsoft, in a move that seems to indicate that the company is in a big rush to burn down the public relations collateral that they've earned up over the last 5 years with the Xbox 360, announced that they are requiring an always-on internet connection for most of their console activity. I mean, at the very least, your console has to be connected to the internet once every 24 hours. So that begs the question now, as a tournament organizer who probably buys anywhere between 10 to 20 consoles a year, are we going to see a definitive PlayStation 4 tournament format, at least in your neck of the woods, going forward?
I mean, I'm in a tough position because I'm actually working very well with Microsoft this year, especially for CEO. And besides them sponsoring CEO, it's opened a lot of doors to other events. But I've always been about hosting what console is best for a tournament. And off of early predictions, it's looking like PS4 is focusing on being games. So that might help. But I mean, just to think about having to have a Kinect everywhere is almost like when you hosted Smash Brawl on, like, the Wii, you had to have that Wii remote sensor, but a Kinect is like 5 times the size of that. So besides that, it's going to be very tough. I'm one of those guys I'm a huge Apple fan, and there's always all those rumors nonstop every day. I wait until the final thing, but after Microsoft's couple of announcements today, it's looking very hard to get used games and share between consoles, stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'm in a tough position. I'm going to go with whatever the better system is to run tournaments on towards the future, even if I am getting paid out the butt. But we got to wait and see once it comes out. Once it comes out, and we know for sure what it can do, then I'll take it from there. But as of right now, next generation's looking scary all across the board for tournament organizers.
It's tough for Shady K. How much equipment do you guys provide for FGTV events like at WMW? How much of the equipment there are you guys providing?
We actually only provide the stream equipment and the Xbox to stream the game on. But as far
Right.
as all the other stuff, Joe Flores actually provides all the other equipment, the monitors and the consoles.
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know Joe Flores, he's a old OG NorCal guy. He's a ST player and Third Strike player. He's most famous for his Alena in Third Strike. And that's a guy that just pays for this stuff out of his pocket. I mean, he doesn't really make a lot of money at events or whatever. And it's a scary proposition going forward because you've got these consoles that, I mean, they haven't given any definitive answer about whether or not some of these requirements are going to be present on the PlayStation, but as a competitive gamer, it's got to be a little bit scary for everybody because you're looking at the possibility of the competitive landscape as we know it changing because nobody connects their Xbox to the internet when they're at the tournament. Like it doesn't need it, except now it might. So it's going to be weird.
And I have at least 20 Xboxes I've collected over the years, either from winning tournaments, spending the money on them, and besides, I actually have quite a few PS3s as well because I do host some games on PS3. And every time a tournament comes up, it's even hard now. I gotta spend, and I have like 2, 3 buddies. We just drink beer and hang out and update all my consoles. I line up like 4 Evo monitors and just update, and that's without being required to have an internet connection. But you still have to update, so it's a time-consuming process, but whatever happens, we got to make it work and figure out a way because the scene just, the events keep growing and we got to move with the times. Luckily, I think we still have, unless there's some new games on the horizon for next gen already at this E3, I think we have at least 2, 3 more years, just like when PlayStation 2, came out for like Tekken, Dark Resurrection, all that stuff. We have at least 2, 3 more years on the current consoles we have.
Well,
Like I don't see us needing a new Xbox or PS4 for more than 1 or 2 games in the next 2, 3 years.
Sure. Well, I mean, the rumor right now is that they're going to announce Marvel vs. Capcom 4 at E3, but that's just a huge rumor. So, but I mean, I've been hearing that from some somewhat reputable sources, so we'll see.
Where'd that come from?
I
That
have
seems
no
so
idea. It just kind
random.
of blew up from everywhere,
Yeah.
like a couple days ago, and now it's like everywhere. But
Where does every leak come from? Seth, man.
all right, so the primary focus tonight is about tournaments. I want to first, Alex, tell us a little bit about you. I'm, as a longtime player myself, who's gotten into production the last few years. I'm always interested to hear about TOs and their background as players. Why don't you give us a little bit of a background as your background as a player? Give us some of your notable achievements and let us know where you're coming from as a player.
Shady K knows this achievement. No, I'll get to that later. I've been playing all my life, man. I think since I was 4 years old, when I first got into like Nintendo games. But I remember when Street Fighter 2 Turbo came out on Super Nintendo, and it was an $80 cartridge. I had 2 older brothers that brought it home, and we just played the hell out of it. And throughout the '90s, I played Mortal Kombat actually more than I played Street Fighter, like ST. And I just played a whole hell of a lot at the arcades, but there was never tournaments in Florida back then. It was just a lot. It was a tight group of arcades, just like any location, and I always went and played nonstop. But as for like entering the FGC as an actual player, besides the arcades, CVS2 was my first game, and that was around like 2000, 2001, where I first got into it through a buddy, Trent. And he got me into that game, and I started traveling with him to a lot of outside of Orlando tournaments and such. And I got hooked into CVS2, went to tournaments. I think my first team was like an N Groove, Vega, Sagat, Blanca. It's like just pick top tier. And I played a lot of that, and then slowly after playing, I kind of grew a bond with a lot of people at my college, and we started hosting tournaments at the school for free. They would give us like a free little venue space. They'd rent us out like 6 CRT TVs. And it just became natural to me to start running events and helping out, and it just kind of built into what CEO is today. But a lot of people think I came out of nowhere with the first CEO. I had at least 8 years of organization experience. Before the first CEO, I never had to worry about finding a hotel, finding a venue, planning out all the hard stuff. So I kind of learned from all the other organizers, went to different events like Final Round back in the day. And I kind of slowly picked it up, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And then I still play as much as I can. I play with CJ Truth all the time, whenever we get a chance. I still enter a lot of tournaments. I've been entering a lot of Injustice tournaments. Was at a local Street Fighter 4 tournament and Injustice. I ended up getting second place, losing to Knuckle Dew, because in Florida we all lose to kids now. Yeah, just as a player, it kind of helps because I know what players enjoy, what they like to do, how they like rules to be, stuff. They like everything to be fair. So being a player first really helps me be a better organizer. I really think a lot of organizers over the past couple of years that you've seen that don't play these games and come in, with big pots, money, run these tournaments, have absolutely no communication skills with the players or a connection. And it benefits VIA like at Wednesday Night Fights, how big that's grown. So being a player definitely helps. So besides maybe only a couple of TOs that have just been in it to run events without any knowledge of being a player, all of us started out as players.
Shady, speaking of players, why don't you give us a little bit of a background on you as far as your accomplishments in the games that you started out in and what you enjoy?
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually really old. I am 32. So I've been playing Street Fighter 2, the original, when it
Jesus, in
came
fighting
out.
game years, it's like you're like 80.
Yeah, seriously. So I started at, the 7-Elevens, the little room that they used to have in the corner of the 7-Eleven. Played my older brother in the 90s. And man, it's been a long time. So yeah, I've been playing like 15, 18 years. That's nuts. And I got really competitive when, sorry about the sirens.
What
What
did
is
Ryan
going on
do?
at FGTV House right now?
Yo, yeah, you don't even want to know. Ricky, are you all right? But yeah, I got really competitive when Marvel 2 came out. That is when they had those little arcades at the colleges, and that's where I spend most of my time. And then my first tournament, or my first major tournament, was B5, and everyone thought I was going to do really well, and I got bodied in pools to a Seattle player, and that was really upsetting, super upsetting. After that,
Yeah, I would
then
be upset anytime I lose from somebody from Seattle. I would be pretty pissed off.
yes, yes. Not only that, but they're so nice too. I hate losing to nice people. I really hate losing to nice people. Like Crisis, it's just like I want to hate this guy, but I can't because he's too nice.
You're like, oh,
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much how I grew up as a fighting game player.
So primarily a Marvel player, and then just whatever else when you could pick it up.
Yeah, yeah.
I respect that. All right,
you know,
so now we're speaking of progression here. Jabela, you transitioned from being primarily a player to a TO. Why don't you give us a little bit of the roadmap of what took CEO from, a local to now a major Road to Evo tournament, probably one of the biggest tournaments on the East Coast.
I never honestly expected it to get to where it is. Most people know the story about a gentleman came into the Florida scene saying he wanted to throw a big tournament, bunch of money, Japanese players, yada yada yada. For whatever reason, it just ended up being. I don't think the guy was ever purposely a con artist. I think he just bit off more than he can chew and had really high hopes. And luckily, before that incident, I had already run like 9 monthlies with Street Fighter 4. And I'll tell you, the first Street Fighter 4 tournament in Florida had 14 people in it. And this was hosted by some other guys that were hosting a Smash tournament. And my buddy said, there's this tournament, it was near my work. So I checked it out over the weekend and when only 14 people entered, I ended up winning it. And it was just a small scene because when Street Fighter 4 first came out, all the OGs that played CVS2, Marvel 2, and all that, they were just relics of the past on the SRK forum. And everyone became, family men, stuff like that. So when you'd go to the forum, like, hey, let's get together, it'd be like a once every 6 months thing almost. It kind of, I wouldn't say snowball again, but we went to that first tournament and they asked me like, hey, do you have any experience running tournaments? Could you maybe promote and help us run one? So I was like, all right. So the first tournament happened. That was like September of 2009, I believe. Or when did Street Fighter 4 come to consoles? Was it March 2009 or 2008? Does anybody remember?
2009.
Okay, so March 2000, it was May. That's right. It was May was the first tournament by these other guys, and I went and won it. And they're like, "Hey, could you help host another event?" I'm like, "Sure." What do you need me to do? Is like, we have the venue, just bring people. I'm like, all right. So I went reaching out on Facebook, which was still small at the time, with like Facebook groups of the FGC, the SRK forum, and somehow, man, I didn't do advertising anywhere. 89 players ended up showing up for the first ever like technically the first Florida SF4 tournament outside of those GameStop tournaments. And when the GameStop did the original thing, and I was like, wow, this is 89 people back in the day. If you could get 32 people for CVS2 or Marvel 2, that was a record, especially in Florida. And it just kind of built from there. And after that, I was like, okay, so these guys did about 3 more events. They gave me the space. I didn't have to pay for anything. I just brought them people. They paid me a split of how many people I brought and stuff. And I used that money to buy more equipment, because the first like 2-3 tournaments, all I had was like 4 TVs to work with, 4 Xboxes that people brought. And the reason why I've always been on Xbox is the actual first tournament, I had a poll and it asked, which system do you want to play on, PlayStation or Xbox? And it was like, at 89 players, like 64 wanted Xbox and the others wanted PlayStation. So what I did was I hosted on both tournaments. And if somehow 2 players couldn't agree what system to play on, you would flip a coin and the loser would have to play on the opposite person's system. And we had extra pads and sticks. I only had to do a coin flip like 4 times. I think it only caused 1 issue. And that wasn't even for like a final top 8. That was just, random like pool match. Or back then, nobody was using pool systems. We were all doing one big ass bracket. And that's honestly the only reason we stuck on Xbox. Got lucky when all the, the frame drop differences came out like a year later, 2 years later. So I stuck with Xbox, kept running monthlies. And then after about the 9th one is when that guy in 2010, the guy came out. I was like, I want to do this tournament. He ends up canceling it. 3 weeks to go. Everyone's like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, and at first I was just sitting there. I'm like, my God, what do we do? Because I was kind of his right-hand man, but I had I knew nothing exactly of the truth of like, does he have a venue? Does he have all the stuff? So I'm like, what am I going to do? So the community just banded together. And I think it's one of the best threads in SRK history. I think I have it bookmarked on an old laptop still after they changed the forums. But, everyone just banded together. We didn't have a name at first. Because the original event was called Game, and everyone's like, do we call it Game Over, Game On? Just all these names written. I'm like, you know what? Screw that. Let's start our own thing, see what we can do. And CO was born. I actually came up with the name on myself, just thinking about it. After seeing 200 names, it was like, let's do something that means, what we're doing. And it was Community Effort Orlando. It just stuck. And put it together within 3 weeks. We had about 350 people show up. It was half Smash. Smash actually came through and brought in like 100 people. And Street Fighter 4, we had like 126-man turnout, and Flash Metroid ended up winning that. And it built from there. And I remember closing the garage door, and it was at a fairgrounds. That was the only venue I could find within 3 weeks. It was at a 10,000 square foot, looked like an airplane hangar, and the AC had broke. It was pretty bad. But we pulled it through. The event went great. We finished everything on time, and I had a buddy help me out. He brought 8 of his consoles from an anime convention that he used to run. He doesn't do it anymore. And after that, I was like, you know what? I think I just built a scene in Florida, and just kept hosting monthlies. Went to Hooters, went to different bars, restaurants. I was doing a monthly, literally like almost every other month. The same month that Gutex came up with bar fights, we had a bar fights of our own, coincidentally. And we did like every once a month on Monday nights, and we would have like 40 entrants on those Mondays. So we had a really good scene between Orlando and Tampa and everyone else. And it just snowballed from there. So the first year happened. I was like, you know what? If I can do that in 3 weeks, I wonder what I can do, thinking about for the next year. And a couple months later, I went to the hotel I'm still at for the 3rd year. And I told them the idea, and they're like, we get a lot of gaming guys that want to do gaming events. You're probably the first one we actually believe can make it happen. I'm like, well, thank you. So put it together. CEO 2011 happened. And the very first CEO, we had 1,000 viewers. IPW Deuce actually streamed the whole thing by himself. And we had 1,000 viewers was our like max count. Go fast forward to CO 2012 last year, we were the 2nd highest stream behind Evo for last year. Now everyone's already crushed that number this year. So yeah, that's the story of CO in a nutshell.
So, Shady, obviously, FGTV House is a little bit of a different dynamic because, Jabali's running events to promote further events or to have events themselves. FGTV House is more of a synergistic brand in that you guys have this 24/7 stream kind of Truman Show type operation, and you're running events. Well, I mean, it's good for NorCal to have WMW. We don't really have a Marvel Weekly outside of that, but you're using it obviously for a promotional opportunity for FGTV House. What are your goals? I mean, Alex was trying to build this big brand, and it looks like he's somewhat succeeded. What are you trying to do with what you're doing in your promotion with WMW and other type of events that you guys are participating in there?
Yeah, you pretty much hit on the head. We're just trying to build a brand. We're going the Alex Valle route, but we're a lot slower in that department. We're focusing a lot more on playing and just trying to be entertaining, as a duo, Ryan and I. And we're slowly getting to, streaming more tournaments. We're streaming our weeklies, and then we're also streaming monthlies now for actual tournament organizers. I don't know if you saw the last Alpha Clash. It was hosted by a group called Macro Micro Gaming, and they pretty much reached out to us. They had a really nice venue down in Mountain View, and they just wanted us to stream for them, and that works out perfectly because we like to do the streaming part.
What appeals to you so much about streaming?
It's just I just love watching Marvel and I like commentating it. I just that's what we do. That's what we're really good at.
What do you
Streaming
think?
for an organizer is a nightmare. I'll just tell you that. So much has to go into it. It's not even funny. Carry
Yeah,
on.
for sure.
No, I think that's an interesting point because Alex has the experience of being a TO running an event for 30,000 viewers or whatever a major typically attracts these days. And most TOs, I mean, having been involved with the stream that gets that kind of publicity on several occasions, most TOs don't seem to really want anything to do with the stream production. They bring in Vic or they bring in, IPW or they bring in Level Up and they say, all right, handle it. But Shady, you guys seem to relish it. What do you guys think that you do better or maybe that you do well compared to like a Level Up or a Team Spooky?
Well, for me personally, I think I have a way better insight on the game. So as a commentator, I feel like I have a lot more information and a little bit more insight. And as far as streaming, I mean, we're just like any other streamer. We just show the games. But yeah, as a player, like when I watch other streams, I want to, because as a good player, you want to know what, the players are thinking. And I feel like I have a really good insight on that. But there are different um, types of commentating. Some people just like, yelling and screaming, like, yo, damn, yo, yo.
Right.
And yeah, but um, ideally, I want to be the color commentator, right? I want to feed them the info and then have, the play guy. So hopefully, like, fighting games gets to that point where you get both best of both worlds and not too much of one and not too much of the other because having too much information like could get boring, especially to new players. They're not gonna really understand what you're talking about. Like they're not gonna see the levels of thought processes that goes on in a player's head. So, you know, you want to have both, and you want to have a good balance. And I feel like our stream is a good balance of that. Ryan is like the guy who just yells out stupid things, and I try to fill in with information.
That's typically a recipe for success. Magus and I have talked for years on the air, off the air about the color commentator play by play dynamic and how it applies to fighting games and how it works in fighting games. And we talked about that on the episode of the Fray where we had David and James on. And I think you're spot on. Alex, I was talking to Shady about what they do at FGTV House that they feel is, puts them apart or makes them, really sets them aside from other stream outfits. Because these guys are more of a multimedia outfit. They have tournaments and events, but they're focused on like offering branding. And you guys are more of, you down there with your organization, it's more of an event type thing. Speaking of events, speaking of CEO, what is it? I mean, I personally, if you ask me, I would definitely say CEO does a lot of stuff that makes it a unique tournament. And that's probably part of the reason why you're so successful. But why don't you tell us what you think from your own work, from your own head, from your own thoughts? What is it that you do that sets CEO aside from other tournaments?
Oof, I like to take risks, for example. I mean, before you asked what do I do, what makes us unique is freaking Florida, man. We have the most amazing, funniest scene to hang out with. If you ever party with us, it'll give you memories for life. That's why I love doing what I do, because of everyone that supports me, says thank you, appreciates what I do. So because of them, I keep wanting to raise the bar, because I have an ego. Everybody knows I have an ego, but I set my ego aside for the community and decisions that I make for CEO. I run a lot of my ideas and decisions directly with my community, like my CEO group. I'm like, hey, I have this idea. I need a vote. What do you guys think? And if they like it, I go right from there. Um, I just think that the scene, all the events have been, much more the same every year. It's been the same top eights. It's been the same players. Every event now has like one or two breakthrough players, which is awesome, I think. And it's just, you got to change the production up a little bit. You don't have to like increase how much money you put into the production. You just got to make it a little more entertaining. And without spilling too much, I have actually a Fighter Mania trailer, not this week, but next week and coming out. And I kind of want to build upon like the bar fights scenario. Those exhibition matches, because a lot of people think the money in the scene is going to come from stuff like doing the Topanga League and charging for pay-per-views. But I just, first and foremost, before the stream, I always care about the event itself and being there in person. So that's why I try to do as much as I can for people that actually attend and spend their hard-earned money, because I don't think stream sales are there yet. But sooner or later, we're going to have to take that chance. If we want more money, so to speak, to go into the scene and to top players, we got to start selling more of what we're doing. I just think you have to build long-term relationships first and not go for the money directly into your event. Um, but just unique wise, I'm a big wrestling fan, and the wrestling ring, it's been done before. Evo did it with Capcom. I think it's 2005 or 2006, and I just wanted to present it a little differently, because they had like everyone was sitting in there. But entrance music, people we love that. We are gamers. We love game music. We love all kinds of stuff like that. And I think if we can build on that, we have the characters. Just a lot of top players don't have the personalities to, for example, like reach out top sponsors other than their own sponsors that already take good care of them. But a lot of them really got to step up their damn people skills, man, because they could have such a great positive influence on the scene and help out so many young players and all that. But all the time it just ends up being me, 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 me. When am I going to make more money? I'm like, dude, when I want to, sooner or later I'm gonna have a powwow like during CEO. I'm just gonna take out a money like, listen, you fuckers, what you call it, to make the scene. But it's at the point where there's been so many events, and all the events have stepped their shit up since I came around. And with Keats and all that, all the East Coast events, I watch every year. If I can't go, I watch everything. Literally, I'm probably the biggest stream monster there is. And every event this year has run so well. Everything's been really improved over the last couple years. And it's just great. I just think a lot of us need to make things more spectator friendly and get a lot of additional stuff included. That's why I have I try to get energy drinks, because we all drink that stuff, as bad as they are for you. We love that stuff. And like the Microsoft store, I've partnered up with them. A lot of Microsoft stores throw weekly tournaments. They give away Xboxes, stuff like that. So my goal now is to build partnerships with these big companies and show them the value of the FGC, because when people enjoy stuff and they believe in stuff, they're going to want to put their money into it and support stuff financially. And I think that's the next step for us to make money, is by helping others see the numbers that we have and show them that we can build our own brand and scene and stuff like that. But I'm a player first and foremost. I know what it's like to be on the big stage. I forgot to mention my first experience as a Street Fighter player was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I don't know if you'll know the Shady K. Do you remember the Blockbuster video game challenges?
Yes, I think I do.
Okay, well, Mike Ross knows I won the very first one ever for Super Nintendo, and one of the
Wow.
games was Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and you had to play 3 games in your store, then they added up your scores. My first 2 games is like Super Star Wars and Tasmania were shit. I was like in 20th place, 30th place. Street Fighter 2 Turbo, man, I got Ken, just fireball 3 times. That would dizzy the computer. Then jump DP, jump Fierce Punch DP, and then bam, got like 9 perfects in a row, skyrocketed my score, and that's how I ended up going to the finals and winning the whole thing for the first year. And that was 1993. I was 11 years old. They sent me to San Francisco for 5 days with my family for free, and I actually went to Capcom Studios. So that's why I'm such a big Capcom nut, because as a kid, it had a huge impact on me. And I remember going into their studios and they showed me the Street Fighter 2 Turbo for Super Nintendo, the new challengers. And instead of it being a cartridge, it was like a big ROM board. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those like dev kits, but it was a Super Nintendo with this huge ass looking like just a big computer like motherboard plugged into the system itself. So because of that moment, that's why I've been a Street Fighter fan. So first and foremost, players, they want to play. They deserve to make money from this, I believe. I don't think anybody should be a millionaire from what we're doing because it is still a hobby. But you know, you just got to make it entertaining for the people watching, get them interested, and it'll take off from there. But right now, we got to focus on the casual crowd and getting more people interested. And I've told people, I even had the idea with Hans, like we need to get more sticks and stuff that we get from a great sponsor like Mad Catz and give them out to the casual players, not award them to the top players that are end up just going to raffling that shit on Twitter anyways. You know, so they already have enough of those. Let's get them to other people's hands, because when some kid, like maybe some 20-year-old that was never in fighting games, gets an arcade stick, takes it home, and his friend's like, dude, that's awesome, you have an arcade in your home. That's when they're gonna get into it and get picked up into the fighting game scene. So yeah, that's my goal, is to get more people into it through the enjoyment of others and playing when they normally wouldn't have a chance to have been from the arcade scene or anything. But once they start playing with a buddy, that's when the salt will flow and it'll take off from there.
Hey, speaking of raffles, Shady, do you ever find Filipino champ just like crying into his cereal because those raffles are just not there anymore? Like, is he inconsolable at this point, or has he just moved on to the next thing? Is that
He's
guy
moved on. I mean, that was just something fun to do. I mean, I really don't think it was a big deal. I mean, people knew what they were doing.
I'm gonna
They
stay.
knew.
I'm gonna say flat out. I participated in some of Filipino champs raffles.
There you go.
I bought some tickets.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see me at SCR, man? I bought more raffle tickets than anybody else. Every time I won, I got booed. It was the best.
I won an 8-arc Cambot stick, the dual modded one from a raffle. I love raffles. I wish we could have more raffles.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is the stream monsters, they don't even care about the prize. They just like to be involved. Like they just want, you know, Ryan to say their name on the stream. They want to be part of the show. That's the whole thing with the stream raffles at least.
Hey yo, EMP_Yipes_ballsack. Winner. Yo, speaking of Yipes, if you ever have the chance to talk to Yipes, you should have him do his Filipino champ impression. It is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, we had him on the show, and then he was on the show. We were all on the call after we went off the air, and he did his impression of Ryan after the show. It was the funniest thing. I must have laughed for like 5 minutes. It was so funny. Anyway, not to get too far off topic here.
Let me answer real quick, though, on why we love raffles. End of the day, even myself, all of us that play fighting games from the arcade era, technically we're all gamblers. We all used to pump in quarters. You know, we just love the thrill of winning, regardless
Yes.
what the prize is.
Yes.
We are hooked on that shit. I am hooked on raffles. Like I do it to donate to the event because I know a lot of us are saved because we truthfully don't make millions, as some people like to assume, on our events. So the raffle, like if I didn't do a raffle last year at CEO, as much as I hate having people pay to win stuff, if people are buying tickets, then obviously it's working out. You know, and I find other ways to give stuff out for free, but people are just hooked on winning. Like I wish I could buy my own raffle tickets for my event, but it's an addiction, man. We just like to win, and buying a ticket to win something worth $100 is the best feeling in the world without, you know, going bankrupt like we're at a real casino. But anybody that's ever been from the arcade era, we are gamblers. There is no doubt about it.
Shady, I want to talk a little bit about money. We're talking about synergistic brands.
Mhm.
You know, you guys have your show, and it's kind of like, you know, I said before, like a Truman Show type thing. It's obviously not on 24/7, but that's kind of the idea, is this sort of all angles, all access behind, you know, this is our house, we're playing here. And then you're cross promoting with events, and, you know, how do you go about monetizing something like that beyond just CPM, which, as time has gone on, not to really put too fine a point on it, but as time has gone on, relying on raw CPM via direct video like YouTube and via Twitch is just not, unless you're a StarCraft guy, unless you're Total Biscuit or whatever, you're not going to make a living on CPM. So how do you go about monetizing, or what ideas do you have for something like FGTV House turning that brand into something that can be used to make money.
Yeah, we actually haven't gotten a real like monetized system yet. We recently signed up with a arcade stick provider, and this is like our first venture into that realm. Because yeah, what you said is totally correct. You're not gonna make a living off of just raw CPM. So that's been going pretty well actually. I mean, we promote a lot. You know, they really like our stuff. They really like yeah, Arcade Shock. Thanks, Chris.
Actually,
But
I huge shout outs to Arcade Shock. Those
yeah,
guys are
huge
awesome.
shout out to them. But yeah, they really like what we're doing for them. And going forward, I'm trying to get, you know, like what Alex was talking about earlier, other kind of sponsors into fighting community. And right now, I'm trying to work on a partnership with an e-cigarette company, right? Because you know we a lot of us smoke. Well, I don't anymore, but
Well, I mean, even if you don't smoke, I mean, like not to really advertise for e-cigarettes, but I mean, I see, people puffing e-cigarettes like the hookah mode with the flavored type stuff. I mean, I literally see half the crowd with these things in their hands at a tournament, every tournament I go to.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
becoming big.
exactly. So I'm
What
trying to
what other brands or what other type of services are like? Because when Long Island Joe was talking about participating with Brazzers, um, I was I was a little bit skeptical, obviously, and I had my reservations about it from a social standpoint, talking about things like sexism and misogyny and things. But um, from a, I mean, like, I also wanted, I mean, Brazzers was like, no, 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 we just want to promote a brand with the tournament. And I thought, well, I mean, I would reserve judgment. What other types of, I mean, you mentioned e-cigarettes. What other types of non-explored areas or other types of branding? I mean, because it seems like fighting game promoters tend to kind of pigeonhole, like, oh, we want to go with these types of brands. But what do you see any other marketing opportunities, Shady, where you can make money with non-traditional, non-gaming sort of entities supporting fighting game events?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, fighting game players are all around, you know, 18 to 30-ish. So it could be anything. I really think as long as, you know, you present yourself well, present the community well, you know, and have it grow, have it appeal to a broader like audience, then you can really just promote anything you want. You just gotta
Um,
get the eyes on us.
right. Well, Alex,
Yep.
Shady mentioned that magical number, 18 to 30. Very astutely mentioned that number. In advertising and marketing, they call it the money demographic, 18 to 30-year-old males. And the fighting game community is pretty much just 18 to 30-year-old males. Video gaming is in general, but the fighting community especially. We are, for better or worse, young, college-aged, or just out of college men. And yet, we haven't really seemed to be able to attract the same level of marketing value that you see from brands like Dr. Pepper participating with MLG, uh, or even outside of gaming brands. I mean, one would think that with this level of market saturation with a money demographic like the 18 to 30-year-old set, we could attract, I don't know, Axe body spray. I saw that in the chat. Um, things like that. Why do you think it is that the fighting game community specifically does not seem to be able to resonate with these corporate brands when they have so many consumers inside their ranks that are exactly what these brands are looking for?
I think it goes back to what I said about top players need to start, uh, being a more positive influence on all the people of our generation. But I think we just haven't had our big break yet, to be honest with you. Once like maybe Evo even or anybody in the United States gets that big sponsor break, it's such a hard question to ask, man. It's such a loaded question or to answer at least. Just a lot of top players, man, they got to start using their positive influence. Look what Justin's done. Justin was a little snot-nosed kid when he started out, but now look how big of a positive influence he is and how much people respect him now and look up to him. So we have the leaders, just a lot of the mid cards to higher level people always like to start drama, which our scene was grown on drama and rivalries and stuff, but a lot of it lately is a lot of unneeded drama. And I think once a big company sees that, like okay, this is not what we want. Because when it comes to the business world, personally, me, I only support companies I believe in. I never like to push anything on anyone. If it's just for a paycheck, I still can't do it. That's how who I am as a person. So that's why every brand involved with CEO is something I would buy myself and pass on to friends. But it's we got to be a more positive influence, because when it comes to business, systems outside of forums, you don't see that kind of negativity from a lot of the other gaming communities the same way that the FGC might have it. So we just got to step our publicity game up. We need more PR in our community with the players. It's not just the organizers. Or a lot of top players ask, why doesn't this event have more money? You could talk to the organizer, be like, hey, get me your sponsorship deck. I know some companies I could reach out to, and if a player has a positive reaction with at least one or two companies, that will help an organizer, because we can only do so much on our own. Every day I'm still reaching out to sponsors, stuff like that. I'm in the middle of signing a partnership with Kid Robot, which is a pretty big company. And I love them because I collect the Kid Robot Street Fighter series myself. I'm staring at like 6 of them now, and I know a lot of people buy that stuff. So I think a lot of organizers got to start reaching out to those brands that have the same not paraphernalia, but the same stuff that we like to collect, because a lot of us gamers collect shit. We like to do stuff, so we got to reach out to those companies. The top players got to step up their PR game to help us out, make us look better, and it'll go from there. And no matter what, we're always gonna have negativity and drama, but there's ways for the top players to overcome that and make everything look better.
Shady, do you agree that the primary obstacle for us attracting mass market appeal and corporate partnership is that we tend to kind of seek out drama? We kind of tend to be addicted to it.
I agree somewhat. I mean, the drama and all that crap is definitely not helping. Yeah, and it's pretty bad when Filipino champ is like the face of the community right now. He is, he is like the good guy. You would never think 2 years ago this guy, Filipino champ, would, would have the most sense as a top player in PR, you know? So I do agree somewhat. And yeah, we need to be a lot more positive,
More
but
approachable.
I think that there's a bigger problem in that it's just fighting games are a little bit too niche. You know,
Well, I mean, what is it? What is it about the fighting game niche versus something like League of Legends games? I mean, one could argue that MOBA games are extremely niche, and they have a lot of people who play them, but that's a very narrow scope of gaming. That's like, do you enjoy constant management of resources and clicking a million times a day? Like, that's a very specific type of gamer. What is it about fighting game niche that doesn't seem to be able to attract the mass market that MOBA and StarCraft seems to be able to attract?
I think it's a lot of it lies with the developer, I feel, and the ease of access. Because fighting games, we don't have the luxury of just being able to get on your PC and then just getting on and playing online, laglessly, or like how StarCraft and those mobile games are. The rank system is a lot better. You're always going to play someone around your level. Fighting games is just really hard to implement that kind of thing, and I feel like the very very deep root of the problem is with the developer. They just need to support and continually support their product. They need to always be developing something and be involved with the competitive scene, and not just throwing a product together and just selling it, and then that's it. Yeah, we have your money, that's it. And I don't know, I mean, I guess the reason they don't do that is because maybe it's just not worth it, or they don't feel like it's a good investment. But yeah, it's just a really hard problem to deal with.
Alex, as a tournament promoter who has dealt with developers in promoting your tournament,
Hmm.
what do you have any specific comments or thoughts that you want to give about the relationship between the developers of these games and the community here competitively?
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, those companies, they're companies, they're businesses. They have to find ways to make money, and I think there hasn't been a proper model yet for Capcom or another realm to make a return on investment. That's why you don't see them throwing out crazy numbers, but they do care. They're really trying. And I really have a feeling, this isn't insider knowledge. I just really have a feeling they're paying attention to League of Legends, and they see how strong that community is financially through, freemium stuff. I really think the next generation hopefully will be different, but we do need like Capcom to lead the charge. It's just, and Atlas really cares. They're sponsoring a lot of events this year. They care about their games. They're starting to reach out. So it's a lot better than, back in the day. We didn't get anything from Capcom or, Midway back then. There was nothing. So it's definitely changed. It hasn't been happening as fast as people are hoping, but I really think next generation is going to be different. Like Capcom, Capcom is actually streaming my event this year. It's the first time they've ever streamed a community event. And I kind of feel like I'm being the test dummy for Capcom to see what they can get out of helping the community in a more direct way. And I don't mind that. If I have to sacrifice myself and, stuff like that to have the scene grow, I don't mind that at all, because if we don't take a chance now, then it's all is lost. Because I think 2012 was the hugest boom the FGC had seen since Street Fighter 4 originally in 9. But there's so many different games out, and people like playing stuff. It was so much easier as an organizer when it was Street Fighter 4, Marvel, and like Tekken 6 and like Blaze Blue. It was so easy to run tournaments then. Now you have literally 15 to 20 games to choose from, and it's hard because you're going to alienate those smaller scenes. But end of the day, as the players, just play the games you enjoy at the end of the day. But the big games that keep getting the continual draws, you're going to hope that the companies really start pushing into it. And like NetherRealm and Warner Brothers. NetherRealm cares, but Warner Brothers is a huge billion-dollar company. And to them, the FGC is just really small compared to what they do. And they just don't see the return investment yet. But things have been changing. Like, I really like, no lie, I hate DLC because I'm an organizer, right? But the characters, the way that they're bringing them out, even if you don't pay for the character, they're throwing in extra costumes and they're trying different stuff. And Tekken Tag 2 did that with the free DLC. You just had to wait a little bit longer for it. So they're trying stuff. And, Capcom's been doing PC games lately because they're trying to get into that PC market. And, honestly, if all these fighting games that are in returns were also on PC, I really think we would already be with the huge ass sponsors dealing with it. It's just, you only have Capcom games on PC. Mortal Kombat's going to be added soon, but that's really it. You don't have the 10, 12 games that are on there because those other companies don't see the money in it, but Capcom's testing it out, seeing what happens. So at the end of the day, once Capcom says, okay, we're going to do a huge league, and people don't realize when they had the 25th anniversary, they spent $500,000 putting on the events for free. So they care. People think Capcom don't care. They care when they did that. What other company? I mean, obviously, Riot and all those have done the big money, but what fighting game company's really done that? You had the PDP tournament when Mortal Kombat first came out, but that was a one-time gig. And Street Fighter and Capcom's really reaching out now. So I really think moving forward, as long as they can see an investment worth investing in the scene, and all of us start having a more positive outlook on the outside world, it'll start to pick up. At least that's what I hope. And if not, I'm just going to keep putting on a great event for Florida. And if people still keep coming, then I'm happy. Sorry.
No worries. I just, as a personal anecdote here, I just want to say that I think that we need, obviously we need the big time events. We need the CEOs, and we need the UFGTs, and we need the SCRs or the NCRs and the ECTs and the fall classics and the final show or final rounds and final showdown. What the fuck? Final rounds. And, tournaments like that. We need Pacific Northwests and things like that. But I also want to say that I think that, efforts like what we're seeing from FGTV House, where you're trying to create a brand, not just an event, but like a multimedia experience. People would participate. What's funny to me is I tune into FGTV streams. It'll be like a Wednesday night at like 9:15, and FChamp will tweet like, I'm just going to sit in training mode and talk shit to Drew Grimy for 45 minutes. And those guys are like 700 viewers for that. Like, for that? And I think there's a market there for, the ability to show community and to show synergistic branding and to show that to developers and say, look, people are interested in being involved in the experience of a community. And, we are proof of that. You guys should be more invested, because I think that with these very Japanese companies, what you get is that these companies are not interested in anything that doesn't lead to more box sales. Anything that doesn't lead to more box sales, they don't care. They don't understand the concept of community and word of mouth marketing and whatever. They just, what's going to get us more, month one box sales? That's what we care about. And I think that with more efforts from guys like FGTV House, it's going to, and as well as big events, Evo and CEO and all those tournaments. It's not going to; those are what we have been doing, but we need more of the grassroots branding to show community participation and say, hey, if we give these guys something to actually do with the titles, then they're going to draw in box sales because more and more people are going to participate. And I really like that a lot. Shady, having said, I really like what you're doing a lot. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your favorite experiences in organizing WMW and some of the things that are going on here in NorCal?
Oh, my favorite experiences is probably just having, a scene at all. Like I really like being a hub for the Marvel scene in general.
I will
That's
say
pretty
flat
much it.
out, you guys do a lot of work here in NorCal for the Marvel scene, and we wouldn't really have one here, which is funny. Do you think it's funny that we have probably one of the weakest participatory scenes in the country for
Yeah,
like
it's
weeklies and things to do, but we have like the best pool of players out there? Like, what's up with that?
I that is really weird for every community too, for every game. It's like that. But like I mean, I don't want to sound condescending, but I feel like NorCal people in general are just a lot more responsible as adults. They're not gonna go out to a weekly at 10 p.m. when they have work or school the next day. It's really hard to do that and balance, your real life responsibilities. So I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, our players are really good for some reason.
We don't
It's
have
a,
anywhere to go. There's nothing going on. Like there's no weeklies half the time. There's literally no Injustice weeklies at all in NorCal. We just have WMW from Marvel. I mean, like, and yet outside of Chris G, the best Marvel players in the country, with the exception of a couple from Florida, maybe,
hey,
are from
Flocker's up there, man. Green Ace
right,
is getting there.
Oh,
right. But
Flocker's amazing.
most of the best players in the country come from NorCal, and we don't really have anything going on here. It's like really weird.
It's your community. It's the guys you play with, man. Like, I always make the tester joke, like ban the testers. And really the testing itself had nothing to do with why they're good. It's the fact that they're playing with the other best players. It's that's how the only reason I ever got good and placed high in tournaments. I'm Evo seeded this year, by the way. I think I'm the only organizer now besides Vi. Anyways, it's because I traveled, I played. Like Green Ace is new to traveling and stuff. He's getting there. As soon as you break through. Like, look at CJ Truth. Okay, when he first came in, we were all bodying that kid. I remember the first day I sat down. His dad's like, it was one of the first events before CO. It was like Winterfest. Before I had CO exist, and his dad came up. He's like, "Hey, could you play a few games with my son? He really he's really into this stuff. I want to support it." And CJ was 11 years old, and we literally played. I remember for like an hour straight, and it was Balrog versus. He was using Sagat at the time, and the first lesson I told him was like, stop jumping. And every day, every time he jumped, I would crouching fearsome, and it stuck in his head for the rest of his life. He's like, every time I want to jump, I think of you yelling at me, "Don't jump." And because he got to play with me, and then he started traveling outside of Florida. Now look where he's got. I really wish he won UFGT. That was his chance to win. He got up there. A couple of tournament Evo 2 years. 2 years in a row, top 32, and then all these turns he got like top 16, then top 8. Now he got third place. So it's all by traveling outside your means, and California, you have all the most well-traveled players in that small area. So that's really what it comes down to. A lot of Florida players in like Orlando, they love playing for the fun of the game. They don't get to travel outside. Besides, CJ, me, you have Knuckle Dude, then you have Flocker and all them. Those are all the guys that are good because they left Florida and they played outside their means and improved. Not saying you won't get better within, but as soon as you start playing top players from other areas, you're never going to get to that tournament level.
What do you guys see, Alex? I'll address this question to you first. What do you guys see as the next evolution, the next step in our tournament? Sort of the events that we're running. What do you see us going? What can really help us push through to the next level of events? I mean, here in NorCal or here on the West Coast, one of my favorite things was Aftershock. We did, this invitational tournament. It had super high production value because we knew who was coming and we were able to put together video packages and the presentation was much more sports like and you know what do you want to see more of when it comes to event organization? What types of things do you want to see happen more often and that do you feel could push us to that production?
Without tooting my own horn, wait till the Fighter Mania idea I have. I think that's the next step in terms of exhibitions. But I was telling Hans, and I've always had, we did this once at a CEO event, is the salty run bracket, is where you have all the O2 players get thrown into a single elimination bracket. And I did that once at a local, and the finals were just two, guys that had never made never went like 2-2 in a tournament. It was like the most hyped finals we had that day because we're all watching these guys try to beat each other that weren't the best players that we were used to seeing. So we need a lot of breakthrough players to grow it, because when you keep seeing the same people over and over, it's great. Like that's why I have a bounty on Chris G at CEO. You guys, we need to step our shit up and stop whining about teams. Back in Marvel 2 days, you didn't really complain when it got to the freaking point of everyone picking the same 6 godlike characters. But we just have to get more people interested in watching. We do need storylines. We do need more I'm not saying rivalries or staged anything between players, but people need to start relating to these top players through what else do they enjoy besides, fighting games. Although the goal is you're watching fighting games because you like fighting games, but I think people will grow a more emotional attachment to these top players and support them more if we know what else they're into. Just a lot of players, they just like to play the game, win money, go home. They don't like to, share their knowledge and what they do. Besides Justin, obviously, who streams, and a lot of other guys, especially FTV House. I haven't watched in a while, but just watching it, everyone's leveling up in the stream and talking about strategies until FChamp comes on and starts going yo damn. But in general, just make it more interesting to watch. Get people that usually don't win a chance to be on the big stage and enjoy it because they're going to go tell their friends. And stuff like that. So that's personally what I think.
Shady, your thoughts on the next level? What would you want to see more of? What ideas do you have yourself or ideas that you see at work that can really push event organization and event promotion and presentation and production to the next level?
Yeah, I just want to touch on the rivalries and the storylines thing a little bit. It's kind of hard at this point. It's so stagnant because you see the same top players, and then with the whole splitting debacle, it's like it's really hard to watch and just not get that out of your head. You're like, oh, these guys are just gonna split it anyway. Like, what's the point of them even playing? That kind of hurt a lot. But as far as the next step, I really want to see kind of a league thing. You know how in Korea they have like a StarCraft league, a big production thing. Like, I really want to see that, but I know that's not realistic at this point just because the fighting community in America is just so spread apart. It's really hard to get a concentrated group of top players in one area for an extended period of time. I want to see that eventually. So, I mean, whatever it takes to get to that point, like, I want to see happen.
Alex, any upcoming plans or specifically related to CEO, since that's in less than a month? It's the last Road to Evo tournament there is before the big shebang. Any announcements you want to make? Any exhibitions at CEO that you want to announce or that you can announce? Anything going on you want to break here?
I mean, I've pretty much tweeted out some of the matches. You just have to wait till I'm excited for the trailer. I have a clip of it. I just don't want to share yet. Usually I'm the guy that doesn't keep his mouth shut, but the trailer will expose it all. There's pretty much going to be 7. No, hold on. There's going to be 8 exhibition matches. But the production level, I know you guys know who Seth Mussey is, who usually does all the Evo trailers every year. He's just as much of a wrestling mark as I am, and we've been coming up with just all these ways to present this event. And when you see the stream and what the event's doing, you're really gonna you're gonna love it. But a couple of the exhibition matches I can run through. I'll talk about Marvel. Have Flocker versus Justin Wong, okay? Because a lot of other top players didn't want to play for free. And Justin and Flocker love playing for the love of the game, you sons of bitches. So yeah, so it was hard. I wanted to do East Coast versus West Coast Marvel, but it was just really hard to get everyone on the same page. So then you have FChamp versus Green Ace, who took out NorCal at the final round battle royale. So I wanted, representatives of Florida to go against the best of the West Coast. So that worked out. But as a lot of people know, I'm a huge fan of team tournaments for the hype they provide. Just they're a logistical nightmare running during a big event. They always hold up everything. But I've worked it out to where I'm having a buddy run it all for me on Friday because I'm only doing Marvel and AE pools on Saturday. I got a steel cage as a second stage basically for CEO. It's 10 foot by 10 foot. It's nothing huge. I don't want to, get arrested if anybody breaks their hand closing the door. And 6 feet tall. But I think when they're sitting down, you're going to see, that level of it looks like a real steel cage. So it's going to be smoke and mirrors. But I'm doing a single elimination Marvel tournament, and the 2 grand final teams are going to play on the Fighter Mania. But when you see the trailer, you'll understand the idea I'm going for. I really think a lot of the streams need to start throwing out more information for people to understand why they exist. So I have an idea during CEO, you're going to see bullet points of like facts about CEO, like the first tournament that had 14 players. Did you know this? So a lot of things like that will get people interested. Giveaways. People love free shit. You do that. That's how you get the casual crowd. Like when you go to those huge events like PAX East and E3, it's because all those gift bags that those companies are giving away. And we're at a point where we have these events with 1,500 to 2,000 people. We can easily get companies, don't tell them give us cash. Tell them to bring and give free giveaways and stuff, because that is what spreads the words about your event. And that's why I'm partnering up with like Kid Robot. They're sending me free product to give away, but I'm also going to be selling their stuff at a discount that people wouldn't normally get at other events. So that's how you make money, by building these partnerships. And you have to invest maybe a little bit, but by investing and making a company money, you're going to have their budget bigger. So then when the next year comes around, hey, these guys were really a big deal last year. Let's take care of them. That's exactly how it's going to work. So, yeah, but that's the match. Mago is coming. I can confirm that. I just confirmed it recently. But last year we had him versus Romance, and the stream went down on Sunday during their like winners finals match, and people are like, no. So we're going to do a run back with them in KOF with Spanish commentary at Fighter Mania, because that's going to be awesome. And yeah, that's all I have. And Ryan Hart's coming, and yeah, Ryan Hart is going to be fighting K-Brad. I wanted Infiltration and K-Brad, but I'm still unsure of Infiltration. But K-Brad versus Ryan Hart, I think, is going to be a really good match. And I'm going to do a ceremony and release the Jabali curse from K-Brad, because he hasn't won since I beat him. Yeah, so a lot of other matches, but you'll see that when the trailer comes out June 16th.
Shady, you guys are partnering up with Alpha Clash and streaming that tournament at the Hacker Dojo, which I think, for those of you guys that live in NorCal, if you've never been to Hacker Dojo, that place is awesome. I went to Hacker Dojo for some completely unrelated to fighting game type stuff before. It's a kind of like a nerd hangout. You can do all kinds of different stuff there. They have workshops for tech stuff there, and it's a really cool place. So if you've never been, you should go. Do you guys have any other plans in the pipeline? Anything you want to talk about?
That's pretty much it. That's the only thing we have on the books is Alpha Clash. We're doing that pretty much monthly, and we're hoping to continue to do that after Evo for however long we can.
I mean, that's a lot to do. You guys have a monthly and then 4 weeklies a month. I mean, that's a lot. So
Yeah.
that's good. All right, last word. I'm gonna give it to Shady K. Anything you want to say? Actually, I'll give it to Alex, but I'll go to Shady K
No,
first.
Shady K can go first.
No, I insist, Alex.
No. As the guy who beat me at
I'm gonna
Evo
win this
after I
nice
beat...
off right now. I'm gonna win this nice off.
Oh,
Go ahead.
son of a bitch. No, you're being the dick by getting the last word.
Or am I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, shout outs to Jabali. Look, see how I'm so nice. Shout outs to Jabali, running CEO. That's a lot of work. You guys should all go. Everyone tells me it's the best tournament of the year, like in private, even. You know, all my friends, all the top players are like, yeah, if you're gonna go to one major, go to CEO. So everyone go to that.
You know how top players like to get on Twitter after a tournament and be like, yo, that was the best tournament ever. And they get home now. Like, oh, it sucks so bad.
And you know what's funny with Shady K? When I first played him at Evo, and the year that I sent Ricky Ortiz to losers, and then I beat Shady, I remember you, man, before you lost the weight. Congratulations, by the way. And I know a lot of us are healthier now in the FGC, man. A lot of us, as we're getting older, we're getting in shape now. It's really great and a positive thing. But I remember when, I beat Shady, and then like 3 years later when I saw you again and I saw pictures, and it honestly took me like a good couple days for it to click that I played you at Evo, because that's how different you looked. I'm like, wait, didn't I play it? No, that's not the same guy. So that was pretty crazy. But anyways, yeah, so you can have the last word now. I'm done.
Actually,
Oh,
I want to
really?
say, real quick, shout out to Shady K as a former fat guy who got into good shape. You know, it's not easy, and Shady's in really good shape right now. So shout out to that guy. Go ahead, buddy.
How much do you weigh?
Right now, I am around 125-ish.
Jesus, you're a
my penis is
lady.
thicker than
Yeah.
you.
You're a
No.
lady.
Yeah, when you played me, or when I beat you, by the way.
Barely, by the way. I still have the video, you dick.
Not even barely. Come on.
Go ahead.
But
When you
yeah, I
played
was
me.
like 200 at that point, or
Yeah.
190, something like that. It was nuts. Just stop
Good
eating,
time.
all right? Hey,
Yeah.
it's FGC, if you're eating too much, stop eating.
Dude, I know skinny women who are heavier than you. Like ridiculously thin, attractive women who are probably 130 pounds.
Maybe that's the look I'm going for, Derry.
Dang, dude, that's ridiculous. How much does Ricky weigh? Do you weigh less than him yet?
No,
I was
do
gonna
not
say Ricky.
Way less than Ricky. No. Ricky is like 100. He used to be
Wow.
heavier than me last year. He's gonna get mad that I just said that, but
He does look like he put. Yeah, don't tell him I said this, and let's hope he doesn't know how to use the internet. But he did look like he put on a couple pounds last year.
Yeah, he was quite hefty last year.
I weigh
Jabal-
225, man. Jesus.
Yeah, but you're looking kind of swole right now, buddy.
Yeah, CrossFit, man. It's the way to go.
Plyometrics, man. I hate
But
plyometrics.
you know, it's great though, because I have a CEO Get Fit group with about 50 members, and I'm not active in it as much as I used to be. But a lot of the members, you know, once you get a community of support, man, and anything you do, it's the best feeling in the world to have your buddies. And you know, FGC, we're all gamers, man, but a lot of us give life advice in general to everyone else, and that's what makes us so good, man. At the end of the day, we're really all friends, besides the drama and the hate. And you know, we could go places together, just everyone has to be on the same page. And hopefully we'll get to that point soon, because like I said, 2012 was the big boom. 2013, I've seen the numbers dwindle, whether anybody wants to tell me I'm an idiot or not. A lot of the tournaments, the numbers have been kind of less than last year, and you wonder what's going on, but nobody's talking about it. And you know, it's a
Because
point
we're
I
all
want
in
to
the
make.
gym, dude. We're all in the gym.
Well, not just that. I just think that we're not offering anything new over the past couple of years to the players that come, get bodied, go home. You know, you got to give them something more to keep them going. So that's my last word. But my last word, and then I'm going to shut up for the night. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for having me on the show. Don't forget to register on ceogaming.org before June 23rd, because it saves me money, it saves you money, and it helps everybody by actually registering. That's the big thing we got to do, man, is when you register for an event, it helps with so much you don't even know. So try to register and not show up at the door, because you're going to pay way more money, and then you're going to complain, oh my God, why am I paying so much when I knew about this 9 months ago? You know, so we kind of want to limit that shit.
All right.
And yeah, keep playing for the love of the game. And Shady, we should do a run back at Evo.
Yeah, we definitely should.
Yeah.
You guys should do like a run back. You guys should get in like a foot race because you're so.
Can you
fit.
run? Are you a runner? Or are you just skinny?
Yeah, I'm a runner. I'm a sprinter. I'm not a long distance guy.
Neither am I. So we do need to do a race. We need to stop getting Marn to do races. I mean, that's funny to watch, but let's have something actually
Yeah,
entertaining.
we want to see some high level play.
And you know, it's funny. I'm sorry. Rico's coming back to CEO, and I wanted to do a CrossFit triathlon, like air squats, push-ups, pull-ups, and swimming. As soon as I said swimming, Rico's like, "I'm out." I'm like, "What? If you can't swim, man,
I'll
you
do
got
the swimming.
no
I
cardio."
love swimming.
So yeah,
All
I
right.
would have
Well,
bodied him.
the fitness show with the three of us will be down the road. I think that would be a good show. Either way. Shout
would.
outs to our guests tonight. Thank you to Alex Jabali from joining us all the way from Florida, which is not a part of the East Coast, I was informed. You can follow him on Twitter at twitter.com/CEO Jabali. And then shout outs to Shady K. You can follow at twitter.com/shady_K. And then also make sure you check out the FGTV stream at twitch.tv, not com, twitch.tv/FGTV live, where you can join 950 other people watching Filipino champ brush his teeth with tartar controlled crest. And I'm gonna body this tartar right for free. Anyway, the last word goes out to me in honor of the absentee Magus1234 who never seemed to show up at all. My name is Derry H. And yo, Fray!
Just give it away, play